Welcome back to Built for This. I'm your host, Bailey Kramer, real estate investor, entrepreneur, and someone who believes success is about more than just numbers. On this show, we talk about business, fitness, and the mindset it takes to build a life you're proud of. Because if you want to win in the long term, you've got to be built for this. Let's get into it. Today, I am joined by Jaina Pallasigui, a powerhouse real estate investor, short-term and mid-term rental operator, credit card point expert, and a limited partner in a hotel. Welcome to the show, Jaina.
Thank you so much, Bailey. I'm so happy to be on here with you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you on as well. But I was thinking, what was the first question I wanted to ask you? Because as I read your bio, read a quick intro on you, you do a lot of things in a lot of different areas. Obviously, they all kind of fall under one big bucket. But if you were in an elevator with somebody and they said, Jaina, what do you do? Like, what would you say what's your go-to intro to yourself?
That's an excellent question. So right now it's changed a lot, right? But if you ask me today in an elevator, I would say I teach business owners and real estate investors how to leverage their expenses to travel for nearly free.
Got it. Cool. Yeah. So, okay. That's what I thought. And obviously we've known each other for a couple of years now. Obviously I follow you on Instagram and I've seen that the credit card stuff has been the main focus on the content side for sure. So I'm curious, what even got you interested in the credit card hacking world? Because it's something that I've been getting more and more interested in. Obviously, seeing your videos helps, but I'm curious, what got you into that world?
I love this because this is where we're connected, Bailey. Okay, so I've always been interested in traveling. I think I got my first real travel credit card in early 2010. It's a Chase Sapphire Reserve card when they had that big 100K sign up bonus. And I never really knew how to use points, but I remember the first time I used points during that time, I used it for 2 nights at a hotel and I thought I was the coolest person. I used 100,000 points for 2 hotel nights, which is obviously a bad redemption. But fast forward around 2021, me and my business partner, Paul, we wanted to start an Airbnb arbitrage business, right? And we're but we didn't want to use our own capital. We're I don't want to use my own money. So we joined a coaching program that taught us how to use 0% APR business credit cards, but it was intertwined with travel hacking, right? Mm-hmm. And from there, we leverage that business funding to get courses like yours, Bailey, to learn how to co-host, and then also get the funds we needed for our business. And then I just really dive deep into both business funding and travel hacking and points and miles and continuously learn every single year to now that I'm at a point where I regularly, annually redeem at least 50K in travel each year.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. Like I said, the credit card stuff's been something that I've been diving into more and more. I just did a $30,000 renovation on a property. So I was like, okay, I need to go all in on the points. And then I started looking at my card and looking at the points I get. I'm like, okay, I need another card to maximize it. And then I went down the rabbit hole big time. So for someone just starting out though, and newer to the world of, using credit card points, or someone who, let's just say, is doing their first renovation to a property where they have a real need to spend a good chunk of change, where do you even start?
Oh man, that's such a complicated question because it has a lot of information that's required. So first thing is to understand what are your banking relationships? If you have a savings account with Chase, if you have a credit card with Wells Fargo, stick with those banks because a lot of people make a mistake of trying to go for business credit cards with a bank that they don't have a relationship with. And then at that point, you might get a really low credit limit. They'll give you 3K. And we call it the 3K slap because it's hey, you don't even know us as a bank. Why would we give you money? Right? You start with the relationships that you have. And if you don't, you have to start building it before I would say a beginner should start leveraging it for their renovations. But in the example, let's say you did have, a relationship with Chase, right? Then I would go with the business credit card, the 0% APR Chase Inc. Unlimited. It's to get 0% APR because the cool thing, as you know, Bailey, is you could use 0% APR and get points and miles. So it's double benefit when you're a real estate investor. Then use that money to pay your contractors. Again, it really depends because some contractors might not take credit cards. So in those situations, you might have to be creative and ask them to use PayPal. But for me, the number one thing I would tell a beginning investor is don't just use credit cards for the sake of getting points. Make sure that your points outweighs the fees. So usually if you're meeting a sign-up bonus, right? Say, for example, the Chase Ink Unlimited is usually 75,000 points. Make sure you spend minimum. And then I wouldn't necessarily use my credit card to get points after that, because usually the fee is 3%, which will outweigh the 1.5 points per dollar. So usually use it for a sign-up bonus, hit the minimum spend, and then work your way from there.
Totally. Okay. And when you say like banking relationship, what does that actually like? What does that mean? Does that mean just having money with a bank? Does that mean having a checking account, a savings account? Like, what does that actually look like?
Absolutely. So banking relationships means that you have different data points with a bank, and that is different products that you have. So for example, if you have a credit card with them, if you have a checking account, savings account, an IRA, all of those data points shows that you have a strong relationship with the bank. Another thing a bank likes to see is you have high liquidity. So you have a bunch of money just sitting in their account. That's not necessarily the best strategy for everyone, but those are things that they consider in the relationship with you. Because the stronger you have a relationship with the bank, the more likely they are to give you higher credit limits when you ask for it and apply.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So with that being said, one of the things that I've been toying with in my head, so I use Baseline, and I'm pretty sure you use them as well. Right. So I've been using them for a couple of years now. I love them. I have really nothing bad to say about them. But the one thing that always gets to me is I have like a decent chunk of change sitting in those bank accounts. And I always think to myself, if I had them with a Chase or with a American Express or somebody, would that help me more on like the business credit side of things?
Yes.
Right.
If we're about business credit, they want to see that you have like 10K or more sitting in there so that they'll give you a higher credit limit. So it's a balance. For me, I am loyal to Chase and American Express, but I have Wells Fargo, I have Baseline, I have Citi, I have US Bank. I use bank relationships as leverage for different purposes. So if I know I'm closing on a new property and I need a really long 0% APR, I go with US Bank because they have a US Bank Business Platinum card that's 18 months of 0%.
Wow. That's crazy.
People so underrated, but this is the thing. US Bank is very picky. Like I had to set up a business and personal account with them. I put in like 10K, let it season, let it sit in there for like at least 6 months. I'd put direct deposit. And originally they only gave me a 3K limit on that card.
Wow. 3K slap.
Exactly. I got 3K slap. I was like, I did all of that for you and you still slapped me.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was able to connect with a business relationship manager, and that's what you want to do. And they're able to work directly with the underwriters at the bank to, advocate for you for better credit limits. So after I chatted with a business relationship manager, I got 25K. So
for 0% for 18 months?
0% for 18 months.
Wow.
And during that time, that card had 0% on balance transfers as well. So I balance transferred, right, to extend the period of time to pay off a debt from a renovation.
Wow. That's wild. Because I remember the first 0% card that the first card that I intentionally got to really use 0% for was the Amex. It was one of the blue cards.
Blue Business Plus.
Yeah. And I remember I got a $9,000 credit limit. And I'm like, oh man, I didn't need any more, but I really wanted more. And I remember calling them and like asking, hey, is there any way I appealed it or something? And they were like, no, we're not giving you any more. And I was like, dang.
Did you have a personal card with them before? Like before you applied for that?
I had not a personal card. I had another business card for a different business. This was like I applied for a card for my like property business, and then I had one before for my co-hosting business, essentially.
Yeah.
But it's under the same account.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I don't know if that helps or makes it.
It can. So there's a couple things. So first, it's really tough because American Express, again, you want to have a personal card with them, because what people don't realize is once you have a personal card with Amex, any subsequent card you get after that, whether personal or business, is a soft pull on your credit report. So it doesn't affect your credit score. Secondly, if your other card, was it also an Amex Blue Business Plus, or was it a Blue Business Cash for your other one?
I had the cash card, and then I applied for the other blue one.
So was it Blue Business Cash originally?
Correct.
So So Bailey, here's a hack with American Express. This also works with Chase. You can reallocate credit limits between business credit cards.
Really?
Yeah. So if your Blue Business Cash, say for example, had 20K, right, and you only have like 1K on it, what's really cool with business credit cards is you can max out the utilization because utilization does not report to your personal credit on a business credit card. So say you had 2K on that cash card. So just
Yep.
and you have 20K credit limit. What you could do is just keep 5K in there, transfer 15K to that new Blue Business Plus, and now you have 24K of 0% APR for 12 months.
Wow.
Huge hack. People don't know.
Didn't know that hack.
Yeah, you could still do it. You could still. So if you get another Blue Business Plus card, now you have 2 cards that you could reallocate and put it into the new 0% APR card. Here's an even bigger hack for you, Bailey.
Yeah.
American Express is the only bank that allows you to reallocate personal credit card credit limits to business.
Whoa.
You do business to business, but American Express, you could do personal to business. So what I did is I originally had like an Amazon store that didn't work out. And, but they needed like high credit limit to get a lot of inventory. I applied for the Amex Blue Business Plus. I think I got approved for just 10K, but for like over 10 years, I've had this American Express everyday card that had a 50K credit limit. I barely use it. So what
Wow.
I did was I transferred 45,000, credit limit from that personal card to the new Blue Business Plus, and now I had 55,000, 0% APR for 12 months. And then the Amazon store went wild with that. We're like, oh my God, let's buy this stuff. Yeah.
Wow. So do you just talk to the Amazon rep to do that? Or
Oh,
is it,
so this is for
I'm
Amex.
sorry, I meant Amex rep. Do you just talk to the Amex
I
people?
call the number on the back of the card and say like, hey, I'd like to reallocate credit limit from my everyday card to my Amex Blue Business Plus card. Can you assist me with that? And they're like, sure.
Wow.
And then they'll help you do it. And it's like immediate. It's immediate.
Wow. That's insane. What a hack.
Yeah. It's huge.
Okay.
People that one, and that's why I'm glad I'm on your podcast, so more people can know.
Yeah.
Because
That's a good one.
that's huge. Imagine that's huge. You have that card just sitting around. Now it helped you with OPM for your real estate. The thing,
Right.
though, we don't know how long it's gonna last. It's a hack that's been there for a couple of years. So use it as much as you can because sometimes these things go away.
Right. Okay. So I'll give you a follow up on that, and then I'll dive into another credit card thing. So I actually have 3 different Amex cards. So I have the 2 different blue ones I told you about. Then I also have a gold card
Nice.
that has so it had like a $35,000 limit to it.
Okay.
Didn't really use much of it, but then I got an email. So yeah, I didn't really use much of it. I got an email saying essentially you don't have a $35,000 limit anymore. It's just kind of a try your card, and if you want to approve you, we'll approve you. Is that bad that happened?
That's excellent. So let me tell a difference. So the American Express Gold and Platinum cards, they're not credit cards, they're charge cards. So charge cards don't have credit limits, they have spending power. So when you said you had a 35K credit limit, not necessarily. So you could check that in your app, right?
Yeah.
So let me, while we're talking, check it in my app, and you could see how much you could spend on your gold card. So I think that's great. And that's why a lot of like big dog real estate investors really like the platinum card because they could get like $300,000, $400,000 like credit limits essentially. So I'm doing my personal charge card. And then what you do is, let me see, in your app, it will be able to show you how you can find the, what do you call this? Find
The spending limit, do they call it?
it's called spending power, but I'll have to show you. I can't see it right now. What's the limit over time? But it's on your app. You should be able to see it. And then it's just because I actually looked at my gold card recently and it was 200,000.
Wow.
So that's huge. And for some people, like that, for some people, sometimes you need that because I know some people that spend like $150,000 on ads each month.
Yeah.
Where they need such high spending power. Can't find it right now, but that's the charge card versus credit card.
Okay, got it. So I want to share a couple of the credit card hacks I've been using, or kind of how I've been gaming the system, and then I want to hear what you would do next if you were me.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So So I lived in Denver for a couple months, and now I'm moving back there in August. And long story short, I had a bunch of flights that like weddings I was going to and a bunch of different things. So I'm like, okay, I have all these flights. What should I do here? So I got the Southwest, as you may know,
Mhm.
had a promotion for the personal card where if you spend like $5,000 or something, you automatically get companion pass for essentially a whole year. That's what it was. So I got that. So now I booked like 6 or 7 flights, buy one get one free with me and my girlfriend. So that already saved us like
Tons of money.
$1,000+. It was nuts. Plus it had a 50,000 point bonus or something. So I even got a couple flights for free out of that. It was insane. But then I I also recently, like as in like 2 weeks ago, got the Southwest business credit card. The card is I was well, I'll go back to the other card I was using. But essentially, since I got the business card too, I automatically hit the companion pass bonus for next year too. So now essentially I have the Southwest companion status for all this year and all of next year.
I-
So I'm like, sweet. And that like, and then I also got like 6 or so round trip flights for me and my girlfriend out of it.
Mhm.
So that was like,
Huge.
that was huge. Like one of the best for me. Like I know when you mentioned that you book like 2-night hotel for 100,000 points, and you're like, this is amazing. That's how I feel with this Southwest hack. I don't know how great it really is, but I feel really good about it.
Oh, it's legit. The Southwest Companion Pass, it could get really deep in the weeds with how people try to gamify it. They say
Yeah.
you want to apply for it the December and then hit the minimum spending requirement the January, so you could get it for 2 years. But
Right.
that's excellent, especially with you and your girlfriend. That way you could essentially get like 2-for-1 flights all the time.
Right.
Me-
Yeah, we already booked a bunch. We have a couple more to book.
Nice.
And so yeah, that one I'm like super happy about.
Nice.
And then the most previous renovation I did, I put 30-ish thousand on my Amex blue one that gives me 2% cash or reward up to $50,000.
Yes. Mhm.
What? So my problem with that is I already had like 20K of expenses on it before. So now I've already hit my 2 times points on that card.
Mhm.
Now anything going forward, I'm only getting 1 times points.
Yeah. Mhm.
So now I have another renovation coming up in a week or two, and I'm going to spend roughly $20,000 on my card.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of torn. I'm like, should I either A, put it on my new Southwest business card, even though I kind of already maxed out the benefits, I'll still get some points from it for flights or whatever. I could put it on my blue card and just get 1 times points, which isn't that exciting. Or third, what does Jaina say?
I'm so glad you walked me through this. I would absolutely not put it on your existing cards right now because, like you said, you're going to get low value. Plus, I feel like, are you getting a 3% fee when you use it for renovations?
Not, I mean, so a lot of it is material.
Oh,
My contractor did let me pay via credit card, and he didn't really charge me a fee. He kind of did. We kind of negotiated. He'd pay like half the fee, but then it was kind of a wash, to be honest. Like if anything, I paid a 1% fee to my for using it, but it wasn't really. Yeah.
okay, good to know. So for me, I would never use it if the fee outweighs the points that I'm getting, because at the end of the day, we're real estate investors. We like real money, right?
Yeah.
What's really going to build wealth for us. But I would get another card. I would get the Amex Gold business
Yeah.
card. That's what I would get. The sign up bonus can range. It could range from when I got it, I got a huge mailer that was 200,000 Amex points and wild, right? But one of the things when you're applying, try to use as much as possible, like a friend's referral link. So I will send you that.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, but what people don't realize, there's a difference between Chase and Amex in that Chase, whenever they have a sign up bonus, that's what it is, right? It's going to be 75K.
Mhm.
But Amex, it changes. For example, sometimes it will change when you put it in an incognito window versus when you get the link from Resi.com because Amex owns Resi versus when you use a referral link and put it in an incognito window and put it in an iPad. So it
Wow.
might change the sign up bonus from 60 to 80 to 100, depending on where you put that link. And
Right.
that's something that Amex does for some reason, but it's really important to know whenever you use like your friend's referral link, first put it on your laptop, then put it in incognito window, see if it goes up. Then
Yep.
try it in your cell phone,
Okay.
see if it goes up, and then find the highest sign up offer and use that. So I would get the Amex Gold Business. And the reason why is because you already have so many Amex points. You don't have Chase yet, right? So I would just keep building on your Amex, but then concurrently start to build a relationship with Chase so you could get into their ecosystem because they're so good for Hyatt hotels. Like you and your girl could go on a plane, but it's like you need a hotel now. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That was kind of my next thought. Cause I'm like, okay, I had the Southwest. I had the flight thing figured out. I'm like, okay, I'm good there. I'm flying Southwest.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, hotels. So then I was toying between like getting a actual hotel card. I was toying with the idea of going with just a Chase card and getting a ton of points there. But you think just getting like the gold card, the Amex Gold, will help me just build a ton more points and then potentially go to Chase after that?
I would say concurrently because you're using it for business anyway. And right now, it's an elevated sign up bonus for Chase. That's 100,000 points for the preferred. It only has a $95 annual fee. So it's an excellent starter travel cards. The thing is, what people don't realize is not all points are created equal. So this is the best way I help people understand it. So I'm going to ask you, Bailey, would you rather have 120,000 Hilton pesos or 60,000 Chase dollars?
Ooh. I mean, I don't know what pesos are worth, so maybe dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, so Chase, because the dollar is way more valuable than the peso. Similarly,
Right.
Chase Ultimate Reward Point is way more valuable than a Hilton point. People don't realize that if you just type in the points guide, points valuation, you'll see that different points currencies have different values. People think they're equal. So a Southwest like point is not going to equal an Amex point. It will be lower.
Got it.
Any points that have transferable currencies, so those are the points you earn with Chase, Amex, Capital One, Built, Wells Fargo, Citi. Those are always going to be more valuable than just the airline or the hotel points.
Got it.
But you want to always go with those flexible currencies because that gives you more options. Like if you got just the Hilton card, you're stuck at Hilton. What if where you're going doesn't have really good Hilton hotel,
Right.
whereas maybe there was a good IHG hotel or there was a good Hyatt hotel? At least you have more options if you have points that are transferable.
Totally. So with that being said, then could I do the Amex Gold and the Chase at the same time, or is that like not?
You can't. The reason why is, right, you don't have the Amex personal card, right? So Amex and Chase will both pull Experian. So you will get 2 hard inquiries at the same time, but I would do Chase first because Chase is more inquiry sensitive. They don't like seeing that you've had like multiple hard pulls on your credit.
Yeah.
I would prioritize them and then get the card. And then Amex, if you have like 2 or 3 hard pulls in the last 3 months, they're like, oh, you're fine. We'll approve you. Plus,
Got
Amex has this unique feature. It's mostly for personal cards, though, that you could apply with confidence and see if you're already approved for the card before you actually apply. And it's only cool. So that's
Got
you could do as well. But that's for personal cards.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, something that I've seen from you as well, I've seen you help other people in the real estate world maximize their point. Is that like a service that you offer, or like what's like kind of give me the elevator pitch on that too?
Absolutely. So I have this new program called Jet Set Executive. So I help business owners and real estate investors learn how to leverage their business expenses to transform them into points and miles so they could travel the world for nearly free. Because a huge benefit of being a business owner is literally having these points so that you can travel. But a lot of business owners don't know which cards are best for their businesses. I literally had a call yesterday with this guy who owns a cleaning business. And he's like, Jaina, I love to travel. He has a tattoo of the world on his wrist. So yeah,
Wow.
really loves to travel. But he's like, I just don't know how to use them. I'm like, okay, what cards are you using? And what are your business expenses? He's like, I have a lot of inventory, obviously for a cleaning business.
Right.
And he's like, and then I also pay a lot of vendors. Right. And so I said, what card are you using for that? He's like, the Platinum, of course, right? Because he has really high spend. So you're going to, if you had that Amex Blue Business Plus, you're going to hit that 50K, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I said, at least get those points first. So I let him know because he has Amex cards already, get the Amex Blue Business Plus. So you could collect that, 50K of 2x points. Then I told him you want to get the Chase Ink Unlimited, right? So that way you get 1.5 points per dollar on unlimited spend for your business.
Right.
And then he happened to say, he was like, also, like, we drive around a lot and there's lots of gas. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, you need the Amex Business Gold because that's 4x per dollar on gas, up to 150K spent per year. He's like,
Wow.
really? And I was like, yeah, that's huge. You would have over 500,000 points just from your gas expenses.
Wow.
He's like, that's just gas. And I was like, you're a points millionaire. You just don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
I would give them like a credit card audit and then figure out the best credit cards for their particular expenses and then say like, hey, where do you want to go? Who do you want to go with? What are your home airports? And then help them step by step book those flights with their points.
Got it.
Yeah.
Super cool. And for people listening, where could they learn more about or get in touch about that?
Use my Instagram. So it's Jaina_N, JAINA_ANNE. You just reach out to me there. I don't promote it too much because as you see, I do a lot of things and I'm really trying to figure out how to niche my content because it's like all over the place. So, but what I've realized is that the travel stuff obviously gets more attention versus like the M stuff. So I do a little bit more travel.
Totally. Yeah. The travel stuff is just so cool because I feel like it's one of those things where, number one, if you're a business owner and you're already spending a ton of money, it's applicable to, I mean, real estate's like an industry where there's so much money being moved. So there's so many points there. And the other cool thing is, even if you don't spend a ton of money, you still, the credit card sign-up bonuses are still so attractive that it like hooks everyone in who isn't a business owner.
Yeah. And just know that there are niches and the points and miles where people go for the people with low spend. They show people who are very budget friendly, don't spend that much. Could travel hack. That's a niche within points and miles. I just happen to go for the people who do spend a lot.
Right. Right.
It's within it itself. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. That's funny. Cool. Anything else on, I want to go to another topic here, but anything else on the credit card stuff that you're dying to say or that we didn't mention?
No, I think we covered a lot of things. Yeah, a lot of good with Amex. So
sweet. So I want to move over to the deal you did where you were a limited partner in the Terra Springs Hotel. One thing I've obviously told you, but I want to tell everyone else. I had a friend who went to California for a week, came back, and I was talking to him about his trip, and he goes, "Dude, we stayed at the craziest, coolest, most amazing hotel, and it's called like the Terra Springs Hotel." I'm like, no way! I know someone who's an LP in that deal. Yeah. So, if you want to tell us like a little bit more about, I guess, the actual deal itself, like hotel and stuff, and then two, what made you want to get on the limited partner side? Because I know you do a lot of real estate deals yourself, and what made you switch and go to the limited side?
That's an excellent question. So the way that I was able to get in as an equity investor or limited partner is because I work directly with Soli. I'm one of her community managers. So naturally just had that connection. And when that opportunity came along, I knew I wanted to get into it for several reasons. One, to diversify my real estate investing portfolio. I have long-term rentals and they're very passive. But also now hotels are just a different asset, right? And it's even more passive as a limited partner because there's no contractor calling me. There's no property manager calling me. You just essentially collect your distribution quarterly. And I think for me, it was a personal decision because I love pointed miles and travel hacking. And to be a real estate investor who's a partner in a hotel is so cool to me. I'm just like, oh, it's like my worlds are colliding, right?
Right.
Super, super neat. And then part of it was just to, because I, work so closely with Soli, to be able to learn. I know I'm a limited partner, but because I work with her, she's able to give me some insight so that hopefully maybe in the future, I could own my own boutique hotel.
Totally.
So it's putting myself in different pockets to learn different real estate strategies because as you know, there's like infinite ways that you could get into real estate, right? For me, I just felt an attraction because it was like the hotel industry and I knew they were going to do an amazing job. And to be part of that project is really, I'm so proud.
Yeah, for sure. And it's such a cool project. One thing I actually wanted to, one thing that I wanted to ask you, because it's like the worlds collide over there, is does that hotel accept any credit card points Yeah.
Haley, I wish you asked me 2 weeks later because there's maybe something going on right now. I can't say anything,
Okay.
but ask me like in 2, 3 weeks. And then maybe I will definitely make some content about it, but I'm super excited. I just can't say it right now.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny because I was I was looking at going on a trip with my girlfriend for like her grad school graduation, mixture of a million things.
Yeah.
And we've been to Mexico before and she likes it there. And I'm like, maybe we'll look at going to the Terra Springs Resort. And on the website, I'm like, man, there's no credit card points. It's this feels free. This costs money. Obviously, I'm gonna go with the free route.
Course.
But then we're ended up not doing anything because of like timing and all that stuff. So the trip is gonna be rain check. I still have my points to deploy elsewhere. So I will be on the lookout for any future announcements.
For sure. I don't know how long it's going to take to integrate it. I just know
Well,
there's a process going on. But if your girlfriend likes Mexico, there's plenty of all-inclusive adult-only Hyatt hotels in Mexico that I've stayed at many, like the Secrets Impression in Cancun is excellent. The Secrets in Tulum is really good. And there's a bunch in Cabo as well. That's why I'm
uh,
like, get into Chase when you can.
right, because because you mentioned Chase and Hyatt are the partners.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so I got to get over there. One last thing on the going back to the credit card thing. So my Southwest card is through Chase. Does that help at all, or is that not really the same?
Girls, at the end of the day, it is a relationship that you have. But typically, Chase, I like to explain and describe them as like a jealous boyfriend. They don't like you banking with other banks. They're very like, I mean, that's a co-branded card. They are just the issuer of the Southwest card. They have like a pure Chase card, whether that's a Sapphire Preferred or the Freedom Unlimited card. They want you to have Chase cards with them.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. Cool. So another thing I want to ask you about, and you've actually already mentioned a couple of times already, but you talking kind of like on the idea of diversifying a little bit. I was curious. It's more of a personal question. I'm just curious on is you seemed in a good way to be part of so many different groups. Like you joined my group, you joined, so many different groups. I just saw you at Jesse Ray's event in Arizona. I
I
see you in so many different groups, which is awesome. What what's your thought process behind doing these different groups, whether it's events, masterminds, communities, whatever?
As cliche as it sounds, it's your network is your net worth. And what
Yeah.
I found in that I'm so niched in travel and real estate, there's barely any people doing that particular combination. It's very interesting to a lot of people, right? So once someone finds what I'm doing, they're like, my community could benefit from that. Hey, can you talk to my community? Then other people are like, wait, I like to travel. So I think because travel in general is pretty universal, or at least it's something a lot of people like to do, it starts to attract a lot of people. And that's why I got into Jesse Ray's immersion. And I was not even actually qualified to be there financially.
Right.
But he was like, hey, I know a lot of business owners that have millions of points. One guy had 6 million Amex points there. I'm like, oh my God, it's wild.
Wow.
Wild. Yeah. And then another guy had a jet, so he didn't need my help. He had his own jet. Had like a 9-figure exit from a company, doesn't need my help. But the fact that I got into that room and those people, even though incredibly high network individuals, were so receptive to my information just shows that they like seeing you get motivated and just doing the hard work to grow, right? Because
Totally.
you can understand where they were, like previously and how they had to get to where they are now. And they're just seeing like your grind and they're like, wow, that's amazing. Keep doing it. Like, again, this is the guy that has like a 9-figure exit out of a company. He's telling me, you did
Yeah.
really great. It's such a valuable, and it's not valuable to him. You know what I mean? But he was the one that was the most motivating for me. I just have so much gratitude towards Jesse for giving me that opportunity. And I think the content is really pulling me, and maybe it's just me, myself, that's pulling me into these different communities to have these opportunities. And it's been amazing so far.
That's awesome. That's really very nice. So moving on to the real estate stuff now. I know we talked about credit card, we talked about communities, talked about limited partner. Let's talk about the active stuff now. So if you kind of give me a rundown of where you're at now with strategy. I know we talked midterm, long term, short term. What's kind of the main focus for you at the moment?
Right now, today, it's temporary housing. It is very active right now. So I joined Ruben Garcia, right? And he started just last year and has made over like under 1 million in literally 1 year doing temporary housing. And I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? You just started, right? And there's people that are in the game. And what's really cool, and this is how you're connected again, Bailey, because I learned so much operations from you and from co-hosting, you essentially become like an operations expert. Different people who just don't have that skill set like really need it. So I
Right.
essentially approached him and I was like, hey, I was wondering, are you interested in maybe collaborating some way that I could help you with your operations? Because I knew that I could make his systems better.
Yeah.
Right. And then from there, we hired on 2 VAs from the Philippines that help do a lot of the property searches. And I obviously do the systems and the ops side and marketing as well. And now we're able to go like triple the capacity that he was doing before, even more than triple. Just
Wow.
even sometimes like Furnish Finder can't keep up with us. They just keep like flagging our account. We're like, we're real people. I mean, come on.
Oh, that's insane.
So
So
yeah,
in
go ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah. So right now the most active is definitely temporary housing.
Okay. Cool. Is that so for your strategy? Is it mainly for properties you own, co-host, arbitrage, or I've also seen a lot of people like placing people in other people's properties and just taking a little fee from that. Like, what's kind of
Yeah.
yeah, what are you doing in those realms?
It's a mixture of all. So for all of my properties, I don't have any that are doing temporary housing because all of mine are in Emsville. They're all long term. But Ruben, he has arbitrage. He has his own properties and he has some that he co-hosts. But then we also partner with other people as well. And we match them because at the end of the day, what's really nice about midterm rentals, it's very collaborative,
Mhm.
right? So if you have a network of people who have properties, essentially anytime you get a lead that's a claim, you match it to the person. If your property is already occupied, you go to someone in your network. You're like, hey, I have this claim that could fill the house. And then like you said, you could take a fee from that. Or a lot
Right.
of times we just give it to them and then ask them if we could have them in our property database. That way we could be a connector for insurance claims.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it's something. So I've seen the last thing you just said about kind of being like the connector, being say, I think more last year. I feel like it was more like on the rise where I would get an email from ALE Solutions, let's just say, and then I'd also get a text message and another email from like two or three other people. I'm like, with the exact same claim. I'm like, you also have this one dog that's this much weight and whatever, and you're also. I'm just like, it did. I'm not gonna lie, it got a little frustrated. I was like,
But yeah.
I just talked to ALE about this. Is this a new thing? Is this the same thing? So I'm just. Have you seen that on your side of it when talking with hosts, or how have you guys navigated that?
So a lot of the times, like these insurance company will just blast their claims to a lot of people. But that's
Yeah.
why we're seeing a lot of the claims repetitively because everyone is trying to help and find a match for that particular claim. So it seems like it's the same over and over again because at the end of the day, they're trying to, get a property as quickly as possible. Right.
Yeah.
AL is for their insured because they're stuck in a hotel, very uncomfortable. They just want to have dinner with their family, in one dining table instead of being separated in different hotel rooms.
Yeah.
That's just part of it, part of the industry. Obviously, it is very because you have to like filter a lot, but I would go for the person that's actually the insurance rep, whoever the relocation
Right.
is. Obviously, go with them,
Oh,
directly associated with the claim.
for sure. Yeah, and I haven't gotten too many other like requests from people that weren't the insurance company. I just figured I'd ask because that's something I think, and I think it's really helpful, especially for people who they're like I focus on it, so I try to keep my ears close to these different companies, and I'm constantly talking with them. But I know a lot of people who have Airbnbs in general aren't. So for 99% of people, I'm sure it's really helpful. But for me, I'm like, I already talked to them. Like, well, that's funny.
I would
Um,
would just look at their email. If it says at ALE
yeah,
Solutions, go with that person. Mhm.
totally, for sure. What about Airbnb? Are you guys doing any temporary housing on Airbnb?
So Airbnb recently had a partnership with CRS, which is one of the major temporary housing placement agencies, right? For us, we don't typically do Airbnb, and that's because their fees, right? They take a lot of fees, and it's a little bit more complicated to go through Airbnb that way.
Mhm.
If ever we can, we do direct. So as much as we still put our listing on Airbnb for that visibility and for the strategy of the hybrid strategy to fill those gaps
Mhm.
with TR stays. But usually, personally for us, not so much. But
Got
people do temporary housing on Airbnb, and that's where a lot of the relocation reps look because there's so much
it.
inventory there.
For sure. Yeah. I've actually done a decent amount through Airbnb for the relocation stuff. And I don't know, my price is higher, but they pay it. I've never like honestly been asked to negotiate. They just, if it's available, they take it.
Mhm.
I definitely prefer going, well, I don't know. There's benefits both ways.
Yeah.
I like going direct because there's no fees, and then it's just like I like getting a nice wire in my account with money versus Airbnb, they whatever. But yeah, that's interesting.
Either way, yeah. Either way, if you're getting that margin you like because we know insurance claims have higher, budget
Yeah,
then you're still making more. If it was like a short term, it could be, right?
for sure. So are you guys? I know you mentioned like your main focus is the insurance claim stuff, right? Are you guys still doing any other type of are you guys hosting any other types of people, or is it really like +% just these insurance claims?
It's like 99% insurance claims, and then we'll get maybe like a doctor who
Mm.
has to be in a particular place, like a medical professional, obviously, that's traveling for either teaching at a university or being at a hospital. Or sometimes we'll get digital nomads. That is like a very big niche for MTR. But most of ours are insurance claims because of the relationships that we have.
Got it. And since you guys are connecting with landlords in a lot of places, are you pretty much doing this all over the United States?
Yes, we do
Connect.
it. Yeah, we do it nationwide.
Got it. Cool. What do you feel like, if any, are the biggest complexities with doing it nationwide, or not, like, AK, not just doing it in one or two markets?
Um, Yeah, I mean, it's tough. For example, I think the biggest complexity is really catering a home to the family because
Yeah.
obviously they want a home that's similar to what they had in some markets that's just not possible. For
Oh,
example, some people maybe they have like an elderly person and it's really hard to find a walk-in shower. Not all landlords have that particular design or they have 8 dogs, and then
well,
oh, you really can't find a landlord that's okay with 8 dogs.
I'll
They have
take 8 dogs for the right price.
exactly, for the right price, so and it's a little bit of a balance of trying to make sure that at the end of the day, our main focus is providing quickly and personalized housing to the family because that's who we wanna help. They're going through such a stressful time, and they just want something normal, right? Not
Yeah.
having to be in a hotel, so we really prioritize trying to find good properties that match it, so I feel like that's very difficult nationwide because you don't really know the pockets of neighborhoods. Like in certain
Right.
the house might match and it's close to the damaged property and we didn't realize like it's a bad area. You know,
Right.
so that's all part of like the learning curve. And obviously we're learning that with time. But when we go into a new market, it's kind of like we're not sure yet, but we're just trying to match the property as best as possible.
Totally. And so I'll tell you my answer to my next question first, but I I really only had like, I'd say 10% of the time where the family actually tours my property before signing their lease. Like,
Mhm.
I think, like, rarely. I only can think of like one or two that have honestly toured my property. I want to say 10, maybe 20% of the time. For you, since you're doing a much more volume of claims, like, what percentage do you think roughly are actually touring the properties before they select it?
99%.
Really,
We do it to
really.
every s and that's part of our system
Okay.
because we just need to make again, we do it nationwide. We don't have, like, very strong relationship with each of the landlords because there's so much inventory. That's
Yeah.
part of the bidding process too, to make sure that the property is what it is. You have great properties, Bailey, what you show is what people get, but some,
Yeah.
landlords, those photos were from 5 years ago and the house looks completely different. So that's
Got
on our end for our systems to make sure that we're still providing a good quality home for the family.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Are and now since it's part of your system, is it more of like you guys are initiating that from the beginning, or do you guys still get them to be like, hey, this family wants to tour it, or do you guys already tell them you're gonna tour it, so you don't even have that question from them? I
It's
guess.
already part of our system that they'll tour it too, because the family can tell us a lot as well. For example, we don't want to force someone into a home that they don't like. And you could only truly find out if you like it if you go to the property. Because like I said, different markets, it's very slim pickings,
Yeah.
very slim. So you need that tour to really see like, oh, wait, there's a smell. Obviously, you can't see that in photos. You're like, this is really far from our school. You know what I mean? They thought maybe it was close, but then they're like, actually, we don't want to make this commute anymore. So the tour gives you so much information to better help the family, and that's where focus is.
Got it. Okay. That makes so much sense. It's so interesting. Like we're in the same space,
Yeah.
but yet we so different. Like you could do different things in the exact same space,
Mhm.
but both are awesome
Yeah.
and great profitable. It just is so interesting to um hear. But that's super cool.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you too. Again, I feel like since I follow you on Instagram, I see all your updates, but I never like I always had like I'm like scrolling through. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I want to ask about this, but like
Okay.
Instagram doesn't let you. So I saw you have a new property that you're buying or bought in Tennessee. Is that right or no?
Oh, no.
Or somewhere else? A condo?
Okay, yeah. Okay, let's talk about this right now. So this is actually great because this is like education for everybody. So
Yeah.
I was an escrow for a high-rise condo in downtown Long Beach, California.
Okay, California. I was wrong on this.
Yeah, because I had refinanced 3 of my properties in Evansville and pulled out all my money, right?
Yeah.
So to deploy it somewhere else, and obviously California is where I wanna be. But this property would have been Airbnb, and then also for me to have a property for any other reasons, obviously
Yeah.
in California because I don't have a primary residence yet. But this is great information to learn. So it was, I'm not going to say bank, but it's with one of the major banks, and their underwriting process was very extensive because I'm a real estate investor and I have so many different businesses and streams of income. So
Mhm.
to ask for 1 billion documents from me,
Yeah.
like 1 billion to be able to get this loan. Obviously, my financials were good. They saw all my bank statements, so they saw that I had the liquidity to be able to make this purchase. But obviously, they're
Yeah.
doing due diligence. But what happened, unfortunately, after me providing 1 billion documents, literally for all my rentals, for all my businesses, for like anything I made from anybody, they wanted it. Something happened where they asked me for a document. I submitted it on April 11th, and then there was like nothing until April 16th. And then they asked me to resubmit a document. What happened there was April 15th passed, which means all my taxes had been.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
now they're like, I was supposed to close on this property before I went to Turkey. So the end of March. And now I'm
Oh.
like late April. And now they're like, okay, you have to give us all of your new taxes. And in my previous taxes, 4 rentals showed up. 4 rentals. So like all your new rentals, you have to give us like 1 billion documents per rental. And then I just had it, Bailey. I was like, no, not doing this. I'm a good borrower. You literally have the wrong person. I get it. That's your due diligence, but I'm like an excellent borrower. I have like no defaults, paid all my payments on time. And I was just over it. I was like, you don't
Yeah.
trust me, I want to work with you either. I don't want to have business with you. So that one fell through. But come to think of it, I think it worked out for the best because what I learned, I was trying to do the short term, the STR loophole for offsetting my W-2 taxes, right? So that little strategy. What I learned though, specifically in Long Beach with condos, is that the land value is way higher than the actual property value. So the
Right.
value was like 275,000 and the actual property itself, the condo was only like 75K. And I was like, what?
Whoa.
Yeah. And so when we did the cost segregation study, they're like, you're not getting much out of it because the property itself is so low value. It's the land that takes everything. And I was like, so I wasn't even going to get anything back from this. And they're like, yeah, because you're just paying for our services to do the cost segregation. And not only that, high-rise condos appreciate the least, right? So it's not good appreciating asset in California, which I wanted. So I think it was meant to be that didn't
Totally.
work out. And now instead, baby, I don't know if you know Jeff Shui. I'm interested in doing an Airbnb in West Virginia. So gonna have a call with that and no swerving because as real estate investors, you're like, I don't want this money just sitting. I need it to work for me. what's the next deal? Like, I had it sitting for over 2 months and it just didn't work. Right. So I need to figure that out. I think so. That's my next move is possibly do like rural Airbnbs in West Virginia.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. And
Well,
it's cheaper. Like it's cheaper.
yeah.
You can make it really nice. Personally, I would love to have a pickleball court. So, but we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah. Very cool. And with the lending thing you mentioned, that's happened to me like
oh,
several times to the point where I'm just doing DSCR loans. I don't even want to touch anything not DSCR because I can't take the. I had one deal back. This was back in July of last year. I had to go through 3 different lenders.
oh my gosh.
So each time, like the first lender was like, "You're not approved because of XYZ." So then I went to a different lender. I'm like, "Hey, I have all these good things about me, but the previous lender said X, Y, and Z reason we can't do it. So I want to let you know that up front so you guys know." They go through, they're all no problem. They go through the whole thing. We can't do it.
Nah.
And then I go to another lender. I'm like, "Listen, here's everything. I'm not even tell you the good about me. Here's just here's the most terrible stuff about me."
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh no, we're fine." And then it fell through. So I'm like,
That
I'm
sounds
just, but also that deal, I think it fell out for the best as well. Looking back, I'm happy I don't have that property. It was old, like a lot older than I like my
Gotcha.
properties to be. And at the time, I just kind of saw, I guess, some numbers, and I'm like, "Oh, this gonna be great regardless." And I think it would have been a good deal, but I think it worked out for the best. And I'm just sticking with the DSCR loans now because, knock on wood, I haven't had too many issues with them.
okay, good.
Yeah. So yeah, the banks though, it's a
Love
nightmare.
love and hate them.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. I think we've covered a lot here. So I know you mentioned your Instagram before. Is that the best and main place that people can find you?
Absolutely. That's where I'm most active.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love seeing your videos, all things on the credit card side.
Gotcha.
Definitely, guys, if you're interested in anything to do with credit card hacking, give Jaina a follow. Jaina, thanks for coming on. It was so great catching up with you, and we will chat soon.
Thank you, Bailey. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to Built for This. If this episode hits home, send it to a friend, post it on your story, or tag me. I'd love to hear what stuck with you. This show is all about building real wealth, real health, and a life that actually means something. I'll catch you in the next one, and remember, you're built for this.